everybody. Barry Hyatt here in Scottsville at the UK Extension Office with Miss Kelly Burgess, who has a very good idea to cool us down a little bit because we've had such high temperatures lately, haven't we?
We have. It's really hard to believe that it's September already because it doesn't quite feel like it.
Feels more like August, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah.
but thankfully we still have some fall produce coming in, and so there's ways that we can enjoy that even though it's still a little bit toasty outside.
Exactly. Well, that's a good idea. And of course, apples, you know, are a good fruit anyway, and this is what you're basically focusing on today, isn't it?
Yes, so today we have apple spinach salad. So our highlight produce is apples, spinach, and then we also get to use Kentucky honey as well.
Oh, outstanding.
So we have 3 products that are grown locally that we can put into this recipe.
Okay, good deal.
It is a cold salad, so that's why Barry mentioned about cooling off a little bit, get those fall vegetables in, but not be too hot.
Exactly. And of course, I'm guessing you keep the apples in the refrigerator and let them cool before you start the process, I guess?
Yes, and that's actually the best way to store apples is in the refrigerator. You can store them in a plastic bag or in the crisper drawer, and the same procedure goes for spinach. So easy way to remember both of those things. You can store them in the fridge the same way.
Fantastic. Okay, well, let's get started and see what we're going to be doing here today.
All right, so we have a few things to do. I'm going to let Barry toast the sliced almonds, which we have a half a cup of toasted almonds. And so you just want to heat your pan. I put it on low just to get started, but we can crank it up to about medium.
And you said no oil was required for this.
No oil. It just said start it, put them in the pan, heat them up
And go
for
it,
about, we'll have it on a higher temperature for about 30 seconds, and then we'll turn it down for another 3 to 5 minutes. So we'll let those kind of go, make sure they don't burn too bad while we're doing the rest.
Sure, yeah.
While Barry is working on the almonds, I'm going to demonstrate cutting up an apple. I've already got most of them cut up over here.
Sure. Prep time. In other words, you got most of those done before we started actually recording.
Yes. So we used, it's going to be 4 apples total, and so I've already cut up some of them, and I'm going to finish this last one.
Does it kind of matter? I mean, I guess as far as somebody's taste, I mean, some people like the tart apples better, some like the sweet apples better.
Sure.
Can you use either kind?
You can. Today, the recipe recommends gala apples.
Okay.
They're great for snacking and for salads, anything where they're not being baked. And I like that as well because they're generally some of the easiest to find in the grocery store. They're usually affordable more so than some other varieties, and so I think it's a great one to use in this recipe.
Fantastic.
So,
that sounds great.
as they can be kind of different colors. Some of them are a little bit more red, some of them a little more to the yellowish side, but kind of picked a good variety. That way we get the variety of colors to make our salad pretty as well.
That's cool.
So one thing, you're going to just make sure your fingers are out of the way and start on the side. I like to cut off one side and then you have a flat surface, and that makes it a lot more safe to cut. So then you can put the flat surface down on your cutting board when you cut the rest of the way. So we're going to just go around and get all of those sides off. And then we want it to be in bite-sized pieces. Since it is a salad that we're just going to be eating how it is, you want it to be a size that would be manageable along with the other items in the recipe as well. So I'll finish cutting up this apple, and we just have kind of little small pieces and we'll add those to our bowl.
Now, if you wanted to, in other words, if you wanted to cut the apples earlier in the day and then maybe go back later in the day to finish the process, would you want to be putting some kind of preservative, I guess you could say, on the apples like the that we've used in the past so they don't get dark?
Yes, so you can, there's a few options, and I actually learned about a new one recently. I think maybe the option that most people have heard of before would be using lemon juice or lime juice. Or I even have heard that orange juice, you want to dilute it down to a 1-to-3 ratio. So if you use 1 tablespoon of fruit juice, you would do 3 tablespoons of water and pour that over and just kind of mix it so that they're all well coated. That would be a way to preserve. Another option is ascorbic acid, which is just a little bit more intense. So you need even less of that compared to what you would need of a fruit juice. And then option number 3 is actually a product. I think it's made mostly for canning, but it's called Fruit Fresh, and it's something that you can just sprinkle over it.
I believe Janet has mentioned that before on some of these previous segments that we've done.
Yes.
She was a big fan of that, I think.
That's really cool. I was looking to see if we had any in the office, but we did not. So I'll have to buy some of that at home next time you want to try this out.
All right. Good deal. So then we got the apples chopped up, and we've got our spinach already ready as well, don't we?
Yes, and so we are almost ready to start putting things together, but before we do that, I'll leave our apples there. We also have sharp white cheddar cheese, and so I'm going to grab that from the other side of you, and I'll kind of turn this down now that they're getting a little bit heated.
Yeah, I thought that was actually butter or margarine, but it's actually cheese, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It kind of looks like that. It's the lighter in color. Really, it calls for sharp white cheddar.
Okay.
However, I was not able to find that in the grocery store, or it was so much more expensive than every other kind of cheese. And usually there's some kind of substitution we can make in a recipe. It rarely does it have to be just the very certain. And so this was Monterey Jack.
Okay, good deal. And you're just doing this because, I mean, obviously you could buy this shredded already, but you're just trying to make it as fresh as you can, I'm guessing.
Sure, and most of the time, sometimes it's more affordable if you compare the cost per ounce to buy a block of cheese rather than the pre-shredded. And so I chose to get a block, and this is 2 ounces.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to figure out how much you need. If you buy an 8-ounce block, you just want to cut it in half, cut it in half again, and that's the amount you'll need for your recipe.
Good deal.
So.
And you can't go wrong with cheese, right?
No, can't go wrong with cheese. You could do mozzarella. You could do maybe even Parmesan.
Sure.
Anything. I think a white cheese would be best for this recipe with the different flavors that we have going on here.
Sure.
But that is pretty simple. Not too much to do.
There you go.
So we'll make sure we get all of that out of the grater.
The
We have a
old-fashioned way of
nice little
doing
bit.
things.
Yes. It kind of multiplies itself while it's in there. It ends up being a little bit more than what it looked like originally.
That's actually quite a bit there, isn't it?
It is. It kind of surprises you. So we're ready to start putting our salad together.
Good deal.
I'm going to start with our spinach. Just a reminder, even if the bag says that it's been pre-washed, it is always a great idea to re-wash it again.
Certainly.
Get out a colander, put the spinach in there, whether you spray it with water or just do regular sink.
Soak it, yeah.
Yes, it's always good because you never know what kind of water it was washed in previously.
first place,
It could be not the cleanest water. And so I just tore it up with my fingers. It's always a great idea to tear more tender greens rather than cutting them. That way they don't get bruised or wilty, especially if you are going to prepare the salad you eat later. You want the greens to still look fresh.
Certainly.
So I'll add our spinach to the bowl. And the recipe calls for 5 ounces. I always find it a little bit difficult to measure weight if you're not using a scale.
Right.
But I purchased a 10-ounce bag of spinach, and so
Let me guess, you use half of it.
yes, you can just kind of eyeball, or however much salad you need to make, go with what works for you. So we are going to add our spinach. We have our apples.
Yes. Boy, they look great. They do too as well, don't they?
Yes. I think this is going to be super tasty.
I think so.
Did you know, Barry, I found this out, that the average American eats 120 apples per year?
I ate one this morning.
You ate one this morning, so we're contributing to our statistics
that
here.
would be about one every 3 days. I
Every
guess.
3 days,
Yeah, that's
yes. So
Good deal.
even though they are a fall seasonal fruit,
Yes.
still common to eat at other times as well, depending on where you are or what varieties are available. The recipe also, another substitution, it called for golden raisins, but we're going to just use regular raisins
Okay,
today.
yeah.
They all have a great taste. So we'll add those in, and then we'll add in our cheese.
Now, raisins actually make a salad, I think. You know, one
I
thing
think
that you
so,
don't have
too.
here in this salad that I think is also great, sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds would be awesome. Another thing that we talked about was if you wanted to make it more of a meal, you could add some grilled chicken
Sure.
slices, and then it would be a little bit
Have
more
some
of
protein
an
on there.
entree to add your protein. The nuts will be a little protein, but some chicken would kind of take it up to the next level.
Most
So,
certainly. Most certainly.
all right, so we will kind of, let's see. I might actually, would you like to switch roles and add your almonds into
Most
here
certainly,
and
let's do
kind
that.
of
And we'll
get
pull
that
the,
mixed around a little bit?
Stove cap off. Yeah.
Yes.
I think-
Always wanna
I
be
think these are
safe.
good. Yeah, now, as you can see here from the pan, I mean, it did not need oil at all. So,
It didn't burn.
So it did not burn or stick or anything, so that's good.
I can smell them though, so I think it just kind of brings out that flavor
I
a little
agree.
bit more.
Yeah, most
Would you
certainly.
mind to hand me that spoon, Barry?
Yes, most certainly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so the next step is to, mix together our dressing. So we have olive oil and apple cider vinegar.
Okay.
So the apple cider vinegar is going to kind of complement the flavors that we already have.
All right. We talked about this before we started, but apple cider vinegar has so many health benefits, so it would be good to have in this, I would think.
It does. And we also have Kentucky honey. And this honey is actually locally produced here in Scottsville.
Good deal. You know, honey is so good for your, here we go again, good for your body for sure, but I've always heard that it's best if you can get it like within 15 miles of where you actually live.
Yes.
And because that's where the bees are getting all the, the pollen and everything, and that makes it much easier for us, maybe probably to ingest, I would guess.
Right. If you are needing it from an allergy standpoint, as close as possible as you can get. I've heard up to 50 miles you'll still have benefits, but the closer you can get, the better off.
Okay.
We have a few other spices to put in our dressing. We have dry mustard, just a quarter of a teaspoon.
Okay.
We have half a teaspoon of cinnamon and a quarter teaspoon of garlic, minced.
Minced garlic. Okay. Good deal.
And so we're just going to go ahead and kind of mix together this dressing. And while we're mixing together the dressing, just a couple other interesting facts about the apples and the spinach. I didn't realize that nutritionally they have several of common properties.
Okay.
They're both low in sodium and high in potassium, which is
Very good.
great to balance out your electrolytes.
Yes.
And also, they're both high in vitamin A and vitamin C.
Good
Vitamin
deal.
A is a fat-soluble vitamin, but vitamin C is a water-soluble.
Okay.
So we always hear vitamin C for the common cold or
Most certainly.
just to boost your immune system. Getting vitamin C from food sources is always the best way,
I would
rather
think so.
than a vitamin C tab or an emergency. We like to say food first, so
I think that's great, yeah.
another reason to eat this salad. So we have our dressing just mixed up. So we are ready. Oh, that looks great, Barry. You did a great job.
That's good. Looks
We'll
really
just
good.
toss that over.
And you can
Alright.
smell that vinegar in there too, can't you?
Yes, it has. I think this recipe really has a great flavor dynamic. You get a little bit
Yes.
of the cinnamon, get some of the vinegar that's refreshing. So,
And lots of colors.
lots of
We
colors.
like that too, don't we?
Yes, well, I was thinking about it. Even though, of course, it's just starting to become fall, I see a lot of red and green, and
certainly.
apples are grown available through really into the winter months. In spinach, there can actually be a second crop of spinach in the winter or
Right.
in the fall season as well as it starts to cool down. And so there really is opportunities to get all of these things locally, even up to Christmas time. I think it looks
certainly.
kind of Christmassy.
Oh yeah. Well, hey guys, so easy to get the email, the recipe I should say. You can email me at North Central. My email address there is barry.hyatt@nctc.com, or you can simply go to our website. It's www.nctc.com. We'll make sure the recipe and this video will be on there as well on the website. And Kelly has another way as well.
Yes, you can also Google search Plated Up Kentucky Proud Recipes. You can search by season or by produce type. So if you want to look under apples or fall season, you'll be able to find this great recipe.
And it's on your Facebook page as well.
It is also on the Facebook page, so just another way to get in touch.
Well, thanks so much for all your help today. It looks great.
Thanks, Barry.
And guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you back here again real soon.